Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you folks doing tonight? Tonight we have a very interesting episode. I think you all will enjoy it, and I hope that it's informative to things that are going on within this fine nation and around the world. Tonight we are talking about the multimedia massive juggernaut that is Tencent. Now, Tencent doesn't just do multimedia, it actually has even more branches than just that. So, in order for me to do these things properly, I actually have to have my computer with me. So, here's my computer. It has the Clean Network. We're going to be talking about Clean Network a little bit. And then we're going to talk about Tencent. And in order to explain the basics of Tencent, I brought up the Wikipedia page. Now, normally I don't use Wikipedia, but let's just actually see what the powers that be, the powers that were, what did they say about Tencent? Because usually that's going to be a good indicator for how big it is. They're not going to talk about everything, but it should be interesting nonetheless. And I am looking forward to this. I was looking through a little bit of it today, and just to let you know, it is quite yeah. Let me get this thing down. There we go. It's quite expansive. So, let's first go into what is the Clean Network before we do that. We went into that a little bit earlier today, but I actually have it here, and what you need to do is, this is the website right here. It's state.gov/5G-clean/network. All you have to really do is go into your search engine and look up the Clean Network, and it will bring up the State Department. And I find it interesting they talk about 5G. So, let me, we're going to show you the video. I'm going to bring it over to the computer, and I'm going to read it from there. Alright? So, hold tight. So, here it is. The Clean Network line of effort, and here's the URL. Right there. State.gov 5G Clean Network. Alright. So, here is the Clean Network lines of effort, and it happened on the 5th of this month, and it has few things there. It has Clean Carrier, Clean Store, Clean App, Clean Cloud, and I believe the last one is Clean Cable. Yep, Clean Cable. So let's go over these three, okay? These five, actually. Clean Carrier. Clean Carrier basically makes it so that the people of the PRC, the carriers, like, for instance, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, their carriers for our telecom are not connected to the PRC or the CCP. The next one would be Clean Store. So that would be so these would be like the Google Play Store. This would be like the Microsoft Store. This would be like the Apple's App Store. And it makes it so that it removes all PRC apps that threaten privacy, proliferate viruses, censor content, and spread propaganda and disinformation. The next one is going to be Clean Apps, and that's going to be part of Clean Store. So we have a Clean Store. Now we actually make a Clean App. And those apps are going to do basically the exact same thing as what they're going to do for the store as a whole. Clean Cloud does the same thing as app and store, but it's for the entire cloud. And then the final one, let me slide that down. It'll bring my thing down. Clean Cable. Now, this means that, let me just read this right away. And it says, to ensure the undersea cable connecting our country to the global internet are not subverted for intelligence gathering by the PRC at hyperscale. So basically, in a gist, it means that the telecom companies, the app stores, the clouds, the apps themselves, and the cable networks that we have are going to be completely controlled and secured and cannot be compromised as they have been in these last 30 plus years that we've had it. And this has pissed off a lot of the CCP. you can go onto Google, on YouTube, and just type in Clean Network, and you're usually going to get a lot of negative pieces. They're talking about how dangerous it is and how dare you do this. Well, of course it's going to be dangerous, and of course it's going to be angry. They're going to be angry, and that's because we're cutting them off. We're literally, we are the bartenders at a bar and saying, dude, you're done. You're done. You have been cut dry. You are done. You've had your last drink. Go home. We are not going to deal with you anymore. And naturally, that's going to piss a lot of people off. So, some of these companies that have been affected by these things are things like Alibaba, things like Tencent, things like WeChat and TikTok. But TikTok and WeChat are part of Tencent. Did they make? I would assume that they have, with the cafefe alloy and everything that's connected with it. If you're not familiar with the cafefe alloy, you put it upon. I'm not sure if they coat it or it's a chip or whatever. How you work with the telecom systems exactly, but what it does is it reduces the amount of radiation. It strengthens the signal. And it makes it so that it's a safer form of network. Meow Fuzzy Kitty. Hi. How are you? I'm going to wave to you. I'm going to wave to you. Sue and Matt and everybody. Yeah, anybody who's coming in, I'm waving to you guys. Anyway, so that's the gist of the Clean Network, is that it has the clean apps, the clean cloud, the clean carrier, the clean cable, and it's a clean path apparently. And this is really a way to introduce a clean form of 5G. But remember, also another company, I forgot to mention this since we're talking about 5G. It also radically affects Huawei. Now remember, Huawei was the major creator of 5G networks. This is making it so Huawei can't do what they wanted to do, because Huawei was using the militarized Chinese version of these things that was going to be extremely detrimental to a lot of places. Look at places like Italy, which had these Huawei 5G systems. Look what happened to them when COVID really became a big thing. They were inundated with many cases very quickly. The reason why is because Hawaii and the 5G is all over the place in Italy. In fact, there's a section of Italy which is basically just for the Chinese in that area, because of the direct connection between Italy and China. And there's no surprise that there was a massive outbreak in that area. So let us bring this up to Tencent and why that's important. Tencent is huge. It is massive. I saw this company, and you're not going to believe this. So once again, we're going to go back to me using my forward camera. I know, very ghetto, very basic, but that's what I got right now for you guys. I wish I could do better, but that's what I have with my current limitations. So we're going to jump to Tencent. Alright, we're going to use the Wikipedia page just to see what the deep state, the powers that were, want to talk about them. Excuse me, I need to clear my throat. So, it is the largest. Let's see what the top says. Right? Tencent Holdings is a global multinational conglomerate holding company founded in 1998 whose subsidiaries specialize in the various internet-related services, products, internet, entertainment, artificial intelligence, and technology globally, with the Twin Tower skyscraper at Tencent Seafront Towers, also known as the Tencent Binhai Mansion, based in the Nanshan district of Sichuan. So that is who they are and where they're from. I'm going to turn around so that you guys can actually read these things better. So let's talk about Tencent, right? We're going to go into video gaming because that's probably the biggest thing that they're in. So we're going to scroll down. We're going to scroll down. Because that's going to talk about the background. So you have, like, for example, social media, where you have, like, Tencent QQ, which is massive when it comes to Chinese social media. You have video games. Video games, that is going to be the big one right here. You see video games right here. So I'm not going to bore you with all of this, so we're just going to go down here. Full ownership of Riot Games. You have the full ownership of Funcom, which is a Norwegian publisher. The Swedish publisher Shark Mob, which was created by ex-Ubisoft developers. You have the company, 80% ownership of the company Grind Gear Games, which has created games like Path of Exile. You have 84% ownership of the Finnish mobile developer Supercell. This is what it looks like. And you have games like, for instance, Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. 40% ownership of, look at that, Epic Games. And Epic Games has games like Fortnite. 20% ownership of Marvelous, which has things like Gmod. Games like, which is a majority of Data East, Burger Time, Joe and Mac, and Magical Drop. 8.6 ownership of iSky, which is just a regular Chinese company. Another Chinese company called Century Huatong, which has operated Fun Plus. 16.6 ownership of Chinese South Korean developer Netmarble. 15% of American developer Glue Mobile. 9% of Frontier Developments. You have, and here's going to be a big one for you guys, 5% of Activision Blizzard, which has things like Activision, Blizzard, and King. King is famous for example, Candy Crush. Blizzard obviously would be like Diablo, StarCraft, and World of Warcraft. It has 5% of Paradox, and that would be like, for instance, Hearts of Iron, Stellaris, and several other games that I can't think of. Oh yeah, BattleTech. They created BattleTech. Another game that they own some ownership is of Ubisoft. They own partial of Ubisoft, which they bought from Vendetti. They also have 1.5% ownership of Bluehole, the gamer unit now, Krafton, which created PUBG. And they also have a majority ownership in Miniclip, which is a flash game company. They also have capital investment in Platinum Games, and also a minority share in Jaeger Developments. So that is all that Tencent owns, and this is on the Wikipedia page. This is what they're willing to talk about right here. Not alone the things that they probably own elsewhere. This is all of the video games that Tencent owns. And yeah, this is just the regular Wikipedia page, so just look it up. It's there. Let's go into television and cinema. They have something called ITQQ. And so this would be Tencent Pictures, which has comic books, regular books, animated series, video games, and they also have something called Tencent Video. It's a streaming site like Netflix or Hulu. And then they have their own comics called Tencent Comics. Music. Now, music's going to be another massive one. We're talking about a lot of companies that are connected to Tencent. We have companies like Sony, companies like Warner Group, YG, They had to deal with Universal. Things like Alibaba Group. Things like a lot of the music industry has distribution rights through Tencent. So here's a little bit more that they talked about. For example, they have a deal with something that they have connections through CD Baby, TuneCore, a lot of other streaming sites. In March of this year, they acquired Vendetti's stake in Universal, and they also bought 1.6% of Warner Music Group. So, a good chunk of your entertainment is going to be coming from Tencent. Whether it's either going to have a majority hold of it or it's going to have some type of minority hold on it, that doesn't matter. That means that they're going to have some influence by Tencent, which is completely owned by the CCP. That's not even to including other things. So we're going to go down to one more thing. E-commerce, right? This is the e-commerce section. And they have something called 10Cash. 10 Pal. One second, let me find the mark for that. I'm sorry, 10 Pay. It doesn't have a mark, but here it is. Which is similar to PayPal, obviously. And it has B2B, back to business, B2C, which is direct to customer, and C2C, which is customer to customer, consumer to consumer. They are also, once again, WeChat, Mobile QQ, and they are currently on the NASDAQ. And they're also working with the Central Bank of China. Look at that. They have connections directly to the CCP and to the PRC. This is a state-run company, by the way. This is completely controlled by the CCP, and they are everywhere within the country and all over the world. They also are a partner with Google, right? Using AdWords. This is the company that you do a lot of AdSense and stuff like that. This is where a lot of the advertisements in your apps, in your videos, in your Google searches, it's going to come from Google Ads using AdWords, and it's a Chinese partner. They also have their own credit score system, okay? Credit score, all right? That would be kind of like a TransUnion or Equifax or Experian. They have their own thing, and it's ran by its competitor, Alibaba. They also have a medical system with WeChat, Intelligent Healthcare, Tencent DoctorWorks, and it's also called Amos, Artificial Intelligence in Healthcare. They also have an insurance firm called Ping and Insurance, which deals with WeChat and QQ. Tencent also sourced 1.2 million in protective masks for American staff. So it's not coming from elsewhere, it was coming from there. Right? COVID. Tencent is directly connected to COVID. Alright? And that's going to be your basic overview of Tencent. Once again, a very, very huge company. Massive in scale. Very similar to, for example, if you were to compare this to Unilever. We're going to do food, okay? So Unilever, which controls things as far as Dove and Ben and Jerry's and a lot of different medicines. Or you can also deal with Mondelez. Mondelez is also a huge company of the same size. Mondelez does things like Oreos. They basically own Nabisco, first of all. All of Nabisco is owned by Mondelez. Mondelez also controls a lot of things such as Oreos. I bring it up and all of a sudden I blanked. Or Nestle, where Nestle has complete control over basically all of water products. So we're looking at the illusion of choice in China and the span of what they're dealing with right now. So imagine with Tencent removed from all of American media. All of it. The carriers, which means there's going to be no WeChat, there's going to be no TikTok. We have it removed from the stores, the app stores, the physical stores too. Don't forget, we're not just talking about digital stores. We're also talking about brick and mortar stores. So that means there's going to be no ZTE, for example. Another thing that's going to be changed would be the apps, like we said, TikTok, WeChat, QQ, clean cable too. That means they're not going to be able to touch the telecom systems. And imagine what's going to happen to a lot of the media. This is one of the reasons that Hollywood and a lot of media is dying at the moment. Is they already were hurting pretty bad with the lockdown and all that other fun stuff. But with the way that they're dealing with the Clean Network, Hollywood is not going to be the same. Because a lot of Hollywood is influenced by the CCP due to all the different studios. Once again, Universal, Sony, oh, jeez, I'm blacking again. I'm sorry. Refresh myself. Sony, Warner Group, Universal. Okay? Just to show you the scale of this thing. Also, Tencent does a lot of things when it comes to container ships. So not only are they bringing these things through digitally, but they're also doing these things physically. Like I said, brick and mortar stores. But they're bringing these things in themselves. Now, Tencent has had allegations. I can't confirm this myself, but there have been allegations of Tencent contributing to human trafficking. Once again, I can't confirm this myself. I need to do a little bit more research into this. But to hear that such a claim exists still is something that is curious. We need a little bit more. I think we need to dive a little bit more into that in order to understand the full scale of these things. But it's still interesting how much of a nasty reaction you get for this. Actually, let's do that. Right? Let's hop onto YouTube real quickly and see what happens when we put the Clean Network in. Okay? So bear with me for a second as I turn around and I point you to my computer, and we're going to one sec. There we go. Now we're going to go up here. We're going to go up into YouTube. Now we're going to put in the search box Clean Network. Let's see what happens. The first thing we're going to run into is CGN. That is the first major group they're going to be dealing with, is CGN. Now let's see what happens. I'm not gonna play the video. I'm actually going to have it paused. But look what it says. CGN is funded wholly or part by the Chinese government. It's run by CCP. Why in the world would that be the first thing up there? CGN is part of the CCP. Then you have Bloomberg and New China TV, NTD, another Chinese company right here, the South China Morning Post, the NEA, which is totally different than that thing. What we're looking at is the Chinese are massively opposed to this because they've had a stranglehold on the network. Now, let's go into Google and see what happens when you type into Google. I don't use Google. I use DuckDuckGo for a lot of my searches. So, here's good old Google. Let's type in Clean Network. First one up there. Look at that. That's the state website right there. Intercept, Business Insider, to have BBC News, Verge, Twitter, TechCrunch, Global Times China, right? China has 2 different articles right within the first page. Of course, you also have a lot of the other tech companies. Once again, another jump to CGN, and also New China TV. And if I remember correctly, New China TV was one of the few which were in the press pool, in which I think they got kicked out, actually, if I remember correctly. So that just shows you basically what happens. You know what? Let's try that again, but we'll use DuckDuckGo, right? Just for curious sakes. And the reason why I'm doing this, by the way, is for you to understand how massive of a scale this is. Alright? Clean Network. ZDNet. State Department. But notice what happens is that once you get past the State Department, all of a sudden articles disappear. So you'll have like QZ, once again China Digital Times. You're going to run into, once again, surprisingly, you got a very conservative article right here with the Daily Wire, which is owned by Ben Shapiro. But once again, you have ZNet, Yahoo's here, Apple Insider. Very interesting what's happening here. And notice it falls apart right here. This is a clean energy access, completely different. And if you joined in a little bit late, this has to do with the Clean Network right here. Clean Carrier, which deals with telecom, such as T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, and removes the PRC out of the picture. Clean Store, like both physical and also digital stores, mainly digital. But it makes it so that they can't deal with privacy violations, viruses, censor content, spread propaganda, or disinformation. Clean apps, so that would be like, once again, WeChat, TikTok. Clean Cloud would mean like the Apple Cloud or the Microsoft Cloud or any other company that has a cloud. Google. Clean Cable. Another point I wanted to bring up, once again I'm moving away from the computer. Another point I wanted to bring up is that if you remember, people have actually had things pulled away from their Google Drives because of the fact that they had questionable content. There was one particular instance that I can remember where a person had a copy of the video Plandemic, and Google tagged it, and it was in their personal Google Drive account. It wasn't online, it wasn't elsewhere, it was just on their personal Google Drive. And Google tagged it as being possibly controversial and potentially having hate in it. And what happens, they tagged it and they physically removed it from their Google Drive. Now, why would they do something like that? That is a very strong sense of censorship. And with the Clean Network, as I've shown you, it would radically change how all these telecom companies, all these multimedia companies all the tech giants, all of Silicon Valley, Hollywood, how they operate. And because of all the things that Tencent is connected to, how Alibaba is connected to, and how all of these companies will eventually do that. It's an interesting how they're actually not censoring a lot of things. They're not censoring the things that actually are connected to the CCP. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up, because I don't think a lot of people have actually looked at how groundbreaking this is going to be. What we're looking at is competition. We're going to look at a capitalist system as it was intended, where we're going to have developers actually competing with one another in the digital world. Who'd have thunk it? We're not going to have these multimedia companies with all of this slush fund money. We're actually going to have competitors, real developers, indie developers that, well, they won't be called indie developers anymore. They're just going to be called developers, because we'll be able to compete with one another. The term indie, by the way, is all about that. Is that indie was supposed to be, we're the big companies and you are not. Ida, good to see you. Excuse me. I'm kind of happy I bought an Activision game before that, actually. When you start reading all the different companies that Tencent owns, it's ridiculous. Once again, just to roll out a few of the video games that are connected. Clash of Clans, Candy Crush, you have things like Call of Duty Online, things like World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, because it has connections with Activision, Blizzard, Blizzard. You have Epic Games, so that means Fortnite, games like PUBG. Now, remember, if you were a humongous PUBG fan at one point, right, there was a huge competition between PUBG and Fortnite. What are we looking at? Illusion of choice. This is the illusion of choice right here, what we're looking at. The illusion of choice of all these different companies, which we thought, and a lot of us might have been ignorant about this, which is perfectly fine, because not all of us are going to know everything that is going on. But here they are, right? Let me just go over this one more time. If you were late to the showing, because I did this a little bit earlier, but in order to really bring this forward, I'm going to do this one more time. So you're going to not see my face, you're going to see me swing around the camera. Alright, we're swinging around the camera again. Okay. And we're in the Clean Network. We're going to go out of the Clean Network. We're going to back up, back up, back up, back up, back up, and back to Tencent. And this is, once again, I wanted to use the Wikipedia page, not because I like using Wikipedia as a source, but because I like to use Wikipedia to see how they are portraying this to the general public. You know, it doesn't matter what you and I may be researching about, but if somebody goes, hey, I want to look this up, the first thing they're going to look at is Google and Wikipedia. So once again, it's a multinational conglomerate holding company, right? It has connections like with Tencent QQ, WeChat, Tencent Music, just to name a few things, right? They're on the Stock Exchange of Hong Kong. They're on the Hang Sec, and they are international. Look at right here. Okay. Subsidiaries, once again, Funcom, Grind Gear Games, Lightspeed Quantum, you have Miniclip, which is very popular Flash games. It has Riot Games, Supercell, Tencent Music. Supercell I believe, it's a Finnish company. So there's just all these different companies that are connected to it. We'll jump back to the games and social media right here. We're just going to go over to that. Entertainment, video games. So we have like Dungeon Fighter right here. Games like League of Legends, Honor Kings, Call of Duty Online, PUBG, Fortnite. Once again, I said League of Legends. Here's League of Legends. Ring of Elysium. They'll also have connections with things like Stardew Valley, Rocket League, Portal Knights, Minecraft, City Skylines, and a bunch of other games which are going to be part of the Wii Game platform. So Wii Game is going to be very similar to, say, a Steam or a Epic Games studios, right? So this can be like your platform where you're downloading games. Don't forget, they also have things like Sony company. They have connections with. They want to buy things like Leo. And let's just go over this one more time with Riot Games. So you have Valorant, Legends, Path of Exile, Clash Royale, Clash of Clans. It's massive. Activision, Blizzard, King. King's going to be very popular to a lot of you guys on the app games because King does Candy Crush. Talk about TF2. TF2 is owned by Valve. A different company altogether. Valve was actually created by a developer named Gabe Newell, who, and this is completely unconnected to Tencent. I'm just mentioning TF2. TF2 was created by Valve, created Steam, but Steam was the brainchild of Gabe Newell, and he was a developer on id Games, which famously did games like Doom back in the early 90s. So Steam is actually a relatively safe company. They're independent of these things. Other streaming companies would be like GOG, that's owned by CD Projekt Red, which is a Polish company. Then you have the Epic Games studio. I forgot what the platform is that the Epic Games is on. Because Epic Games was just a game company. It eventually became its own platform altogether, where they actually bought the rights to sell games. That's one of the reasons why Fortnite became big, was because it was free. What do we know about free games most of the time is that there's going to be a lot of strings attached. But yeah, after the development of Fortnite, they actually developed their own platform. And that's going to be my presentation for you guys this evening. Is there anything else you want me to discuss before we sign out for this evening? Let me know. Another thing that needs to be interesting. Now, it's another thing is that you were talking about COD. Yeah, COD went extremely radical. But once again, don't forget, COD is developed by who? Activision. Right? But this is a game before it. It's a different game. This is actually a 2000 game before Activision was ever bought out by Blizzard. But Activision actually owns Call of Duty, which, once again, there is connections to that because of Blizzard. Not a problem. Alright. So, that's going to be it for now, guys. Once again, anything else that needs to be addressed? Questions, comments, concerns? People being thrown out of helicopters? I'm hearing that's popular right now. Joking, of course. I mean, unless you're into that thing, of course. Anyways, yeah, that's going to be all for me tonight, guys. Thank you for joining me. I'll have this on the Contemptible Thoughts Facebook page so that you guys can watch it at your leisure, because that's where I keep everything that's videos that I make is on the Contemptible Thoughts page. And that has my full archive of everything I've done since then, since the very beginning. And it's going to be on my own wall. And I'm also probably going to be uploading this onto YouTube later tonight. And don't forget, you can actually link your YouTube to BitChute. So that's what I'm going to do. My BitChute already is connected to YouTube. So if it's moved by YouTube, it will be on my BitChute. So I'll provide everything for this a little bit later, so you can do your own research, your own searching, your own at leisure, at your own probably personal libraries where you have elaborate staircases. Anyways, enough of my rambling. You guys have a nice evening. Take care. And I'll see you guys on the next one. I'll see you around. Bye now.